Of my longtime play-by-play announcer, the voice of the Pistons and the Michigan State Spartans, George Blaha.
Tell us about that. How was it working with George?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I'm gonna tell you what. Like, George is cooler than cool. He's one of those guys that he's been around. He's a legend. I mean, this is when you're talking about like the Ernie Harwell level guy in George Blaha. He's a living legend. He's been calling games for the Pistons since we were born almost. I think about 43 years, and been calling
47. My age. Oh,
no,
he was born.
The years.
Oh, he was. I got you.
Yeah, not your age, but almost. When you were in diapers, he started calling.
I
Pistons
remember
game.
him on Channel 50 when I was a kid watching him.
You remember that?
Vinny off the high glass. Yeah.
Count that baby in a foul. I mean, he's just the consummate professional. He prepares. Watching him prepare for every game like it's like he's on an interview really gave me a lot of insight into how to prepare myself, and being able to do that for the past 16 seasons is unbelievable. It's a dream. Never thought I'd be in this position. Never thought I'd be here, but man, here we are. I thought that you were going to say that I'm just Caden or Cody's dad and Gabriella's dad. That's what I'm most famous for. But let's talk about your career.
Hold on. Let's go back to some of your calls, though.
My
I want to hear your radio calls.
Oh, man.
I want to know what you've had some legendary calls over the years.
And that Rose Bowl, I like that Rose Bowl.
Yeah, the Rose Bowl call.
Yeah, that was a good one. 2014-13 team in the Rose Bowl against Stanford, the 4th and 1. The stop by Kyler Ellsworth, that was huge. I like that call. That was one of my favorite. L.J. Scott.
Iowa, Big Ten Championship.
Big Ten Championship in Indianapolis, my hometown. Shout out to Naptown.
Yep.
But I mean, you can't look. The one, the trouble with the snap.
Oh,
in the big house.
The legend.
People thought I had like a coronary. They thought I was dead. Because we have a statistician by the name of Larry Cernick at the time is sitting right next to me, and we hear the call. You can hear him screaming, and people think it's me going off mic. It's losing my mind, but. Oh, do we have that call?
But you did sound like the Cookie Monster. Can you play that call for us?
Who got that call?
Yeah.
This will be a 24-yard field goal try on 4th down from the right hash mark at the 14-yard line. They'll fake it. Running to his right end. Tossing it to the kicker, Coughlin. And Matt Coughlin's into the end zone. Touchdown, MSU.
Is that the call?
More razzle-dazzle in the red zone.
That's that D'Antonio magic.
And it's 27-7.
Wrong. That
ain't the call. That was a nice call, but that ain't the call.
Getting the Kings out.
Here?
First show, we're getting the Kings out.
Hey,
you gotta. It's the Cookie Monster call.
You pay the man.
That was a legendary. I mean, if you wanted to reenact that play,
there's no way
you can. If you went out right now and lined up 22 people and tried to reenact that play in 15 against Michigan, you couldn't do it.
No, you couldn't. That was one of those unbelievable. That was better than the Cal Stanford band play when the band's coming on the field. The kick six.
You will never see another play like that.
Alabama Auburn. No,
ever.
No.
Absolutely
rival game. Not. That close. I mean, and that's probably the only way that we could have possibly won that game.
That was just go back to when you played though. Like, how was it playing for George Perlis, Nick Saban? What was the difference between George and Nick?
Oh, well, I know you like to talk about weight. We're not going to talk about weight now.
Why would you?
There's a big difference there. But God rest his soul. I love George. He's the reason I came to East Lansing in the beginning. The guy was like a father figure, having a father away from home. Just a warm guy. Came in my home with those 4 Super Bowl rings from the Steelers, and he started talking about the history of Michigan State. And he just made you want to feel like you just wanted to run through a brick wall for this man. He was a great guy. And, I always give him credit for, opening my eyes to the possibility coming up north here to Michigan and Michigan State. And because I never liked Michigan, let's put that on the table. Like, Michigan recruited me.
We're here to be objective.
And Michigan recruited me, and I never liked Michigan. I grew up a Notre Dame fan. I'm a Notre Dame kid. I'm an Indianapolis guy. By back in the day. But I'm born now. I'm a Michigan guy for life. Spartan, dog. So, But George is a guy, man. I mean, everybody loves him. He really taught a lot of people a lot of good lessons. Like, who drives?
The dummy drives.
The dummy drives. That's it. Like some of the things that we used to do.
They're still ingrained in our head.
Oh, my God. Right. I mean, the boxing gloves that, guys used to wear in the middle of practice when they wanted to fight.
Boxing gloves out to practice. And if you were fighting in practice, imagine doing that nowadays.
Probably get fired.
Yeah, if you were fighting, he would stop the practice. He would give everybody boxing gloves. Make the two people fight until they were just exhausted. Can you imagine nowadays that happening in college football? No,
just won't happen. It's such a politically correct society that we live in. Political correctness is where we are. So, but those were good. Those were the good old days, man. George, was a great guy. And then in comes after my first year. You spent a couple years with George. I only had one.
I had 3 with
My
George.
second year, I had 4 with Nick Saban. Rhymes with, Satan, some people would say back then, because he was so intense, man. I mean, this guy, he didn't let anybody get away with anything at all. Like, even when we had good days, he amped himself up to get angry. But, he was such a very bright football mind. His defensive prowess was second to none, as you can see today. The man, when people buy into his process, they win championships. They go to the NFL. They have long careers. And it just keeps on breeding itself over and over again down in Tuscaloosa. And he's done a phenomenal job. He won one in LSU. And also now he's won how many with Alabama?
6, I think.
6? Wow. I mean, he's like Brady status almost, man. I mean, he is. He's a legend. But the things that I learned from Nick Saban, I pour into my sons on a daily basis right now, and I might be that guy that they think's a prick, but I know in the end it's going to pay huge dividends.
Well, your son has an offer. Several. Congratulations.
Oh yeah, but he's got a long way to go.
Several offers. Going into 9th grade. Michigan State, Syracuse, Tennessee. I mean, that's remarkable. Hasn't played it down yet in high school.
No.
It shows you how everything is just
it's changing. Yeah, the whole landscape of college football is changing. We're going to get into that, but man, before we do that, I need to talk about you, like your background.
I love talking about me.
Brian. One thing everybody's going to get to know: Brian loves him some him, baby. So
I can't love you if I don't love me.
That's true.
I can't.
That's true.
It's not possible.
Did you read that somewhere in the book?
I mean, it's not.
But you don't love anybody else.
If you look at them.
Show us some love,
the chemistry of somebody, the physiological makeup.
Yes, there you go.
You cannot love somebody if you don't love yourself. And I just made that up. So I just made that up.
You can tell he was a 3-time academic All Big Ten selection. Brian Mosallam coming out of the great Fortson.
Dearborn Fortson. Go Tractors, oil job, recently committed. Antonio Gates' son.
Oh, yeah.
Fortson Tractor. Mel
He's going to be a dog.
Mel hauling him in.
4-star.
Yep.
Let me tell you something about recruiting. When you get to recruit and you say, who's your dad? Oh, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Legacy kid.
Yeah, that's a win.
That's you recruiting bloodlines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Caden Strayhorn.
But hey, his dad ain't no first ballot Hall of Famer. I tell you that. That's an easy. Yes, we need him. And
there's no question about that.
Love it.
No question.
And I can't wait to meet the young man when he comes here next year. But so you started off at Dearborn Fortson, and then you came to Michigan State in '92.
I did.
Under George Perlis. Played offensive line. You were guard, 3-time academic All Big Ten.
I was.
Yeah. Talk a bit about your recruitment to come to Michigan State when Perlis came to your house.
Oh, I mean. That was an interesting day. My mom, God rest her soul, I'll never forget, George was in my house eating dinner, and she just taps him on the shoulder and tells him, eat, we love fat people. I go, Ma, what are you doing?
Right. You just
and she looked at me,
the offer.
She said, what? And Pat Shermer, who recruited me, was head coach at Cleveland Browns, just blows up laughing. runs out. I mean, just couldn't stop laughing. And
Divine
Coach,
Child
God
guy.
rest his soul. Yeah, Divine Child.
Yeah.
He's got them lamb chops, and he
was smashed
like a typewriter, one by one. He's going. George is special. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff that he did. I mean, he brought me to Michigan State. I mean, he made me. And I'll never. I mean, George Perlis had some classic stuff that you coaches at home now know you can't do or say.
You can't do it no more.
Because we can't repeat half the stuff that were said to us on the field, in the locker room. It's a whole nother world out there nowadays. A whole nother world.
But tell us, you got to, hey, come on, this is a podcast now. You got to go ahead and tell one of those stories. Like, tell me your favorite George Perlis story.
My favorite George Perlis story that I tell people probably had to be that one time where I was playing center in practice, and I just kept fumbling every snap and messing assignments up.
It's hard.
And
to be
every
a center,
coach
ain't
is
it?
yelling at me, and Mosallam, what are you doing? I mean, you're just getting swore at, cussed at, yelled at. It's just one of those 100 play scrimmages where you're just dying, right? It's spring ball.
Oh, yeah, I
There's
know.
miserable. There's no end in sight, right? You're
Yeah.
in period
You're
4
dizzy.
of 42, right? You're 2 hours in to a 3.5 hour scrimmage.
Yep.
God knows you're just blasting each. Everybody knows you're running the ball, and the whole D line is teed up. They got 9 guys in the box, and so I just kept getting yelled at. I'll never forget. He walked up and he looked at me and he patted himself on his chest and he said, "Me, I effed up, not you. I recruited you. This one's on me." He looked at all the coaches. He said, "Guys, this one's on me. I recruited him. He's not as good as we thought he was." Here I am. I'm a 19-year-old kid.
Wow.
I'm a 19-year-old
What'd that do
kid.
to your ego, man?
I was stunned. I was like, man, I'm never going to play here. Ever. I got no chance of playing one down.
I mean, that's, yeah.
And then George gets fired. Nick comes in, and I played 2 years for Nick. And my claim to fame was playing next to Flozell Adams.
Oh, yeah.
For 2 years, telling him every play what to do. He's
Telling him what to do.
possibly a Hall of Famer, 100 millionaire. And I'm doing a podcast here for free with you, but Flo obviously did something right.
There was a bit of a size difference between you two.
Just a tad.
I mean, Flo's a mountain of a man. I mean,
We're going to get him on the show one day.
Yeah, we get Flo on here.
We're going to get him on here one day.
Big fella, man.
I tell you. But the difference is Saban, the attention to detail that Nick had.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick, and we were catching George towards the end of his career, so we don't really know how intertwined he was with special teams and every facet of the game.
Yeah.
But Nick, his attention to detail of every facet, from what the gunner is supposed to do on the punt team to what the inside guy is on the kick return team, what he's supposed to do, to what the left guard's supposed to do. And Nick was just intense. He was intense, but if you did what you were supposed to do, he respected you. And I'll never forget, he was telling me a story once about when he was at the Browns, how there was a 3rd and 8 call, and he called a blitz because he wanted the quarterback to hit the hot read, which was 4 yards, and they tackle him and they stop him. And so the linebacker didn't get the signal, and he missed the read, and it became a 9-yard gain, and he started getting mad, and he started yelling and swearing and screaming at me as he's telling me the story. He got mad at me.
He got mad at you.
Yeah, he got mad at me.
You were there.
I was right. He's like telling me the story and getting mad at me and yelling at me, and I got nothing to do with that, coach. I'm just here at practice, But he was just that intense,
He had that ability to go to another level, a different place.
George would call you names. George would call you MFer, C, you name it. C.
He got personal sometimes.
Very,
back in
very
those days.
personal.
But that was like the culture of
that
coaching
was back then. Nowadays you can't say that. Nick never got that personal.
No, but he ripped you though.
Oh, he did.
Now,
rip
Nick
you.
don't play. No, he don't play. He still. I mean, I still hear him. He sounds the exact same too. He's aged. I mean, what has it been, 20, 25 years almost, man? And he sounds.
He actually looks better.
He does look. I mean, he's going backwards, Benjamin Button style.
I swear to God, he looks
this
better.
guy. I mean,
if you go back and look in 1995 when we beat Michigan,
his hair was gray then.
Yeah.
And is now. He's got. You got to call whoever he's dealing with. You need to call him.
It's those rings.
The rings have made him. That's the fountain of youth. There it is.
Look at Brady.
If you want
Brady,
to,
HGH, 7 rings. He's back.
HGH with Brady. There you go again, talking about the GOAT.
I don't have proof.
I mean, yeah.
I don't have proof.
This guy believes Tom Brady is on HGH.
I didn't say I believe it.
It's the ring. That's what it's the rings.
It's the rings.
It's the rings. Makes you go backwards. So, guys, ladies, if you want to reverse your aging, I'd say win Super Bowls or national titles for college footballs. And look, it's working for them.
But you talk about Nick, right? And you talk about the way that he's adapted to recruiting.
Oh, yeah.
All right? Yeah. Nick has evolved. When he recruits kids, he tells them he's going to have 4 or 5 stars playing corner, and he's going to tell every one of them when he recruits them, you're going to play 20 plays, we're going to save your body for the NFL. That's what he tells them.
And
that's how he gets them.
Yeah.
And he's got the proof. I mean, he's had how many first rounders he had the last 10 years?
Oh God, ungodly amount.
Yeah, I mean,
top 10.
So he's had.
You got to measure that more like how many top 10s, because you say first rounders. It's a huge.
He tells
number.
you we're going to save your body. You're playing 20 plays. There's going to be 4 people just as good as you, and we're going to get you ready for the league. And that's what he does.
I mean,
and they buy in. They're lined up. I mean, they're lined up. But he's adapted, right? He saw you're with this. You're seeing the NIL. And name, image, and likeness, and the portal, the transfer portal.
Oh, yeah.
And you're seeing the way that it's changing the landscape. It's changing recruiting. It's changing how you recruit kids.
It's changing everything.
It's changing everything.
Absolutely, it is.
You saw Alabama had a quarterback announce. I don't think he's played it down yet. $1.3 million contract. Jason are the portal. Let's start NIL. Is NIL good for name, image, and likeness and paying these kids, and the portal for that matter? Are they good for college football?
So, yes, and yes. Because I think that the name, image, and likeness and combined with the transfer portal, it basically gives players, like they're free agents. Heck, you see universities are becoming free agents as it is right now, with Oklahoma and Texas defecting from the Big 12 and going to the SEC. So everybody's going to chase that dollar.
Big 12 is going back to the SWAC.
Yeah, Big 12 is going to be gone. I don't see how they survive with all this.
Do any of the teams join the Big 10 from the Big 12? What do you think?
Maybe. If it fits. I know the Big 10's been looking for a while.
There were some rumors of Oklahoma State.
That symbol for the Big 10 is set up to be a 6, 1-6. The IG, that's what it is. It's been there since it was a Big 12.
We got room for 4 more.
Yep. Come on in. No, 2, just 2.
Oh, we got 14. That's right. I'm sorry, it's right.
So we just need 2 more. We might kick somebody. No, we're not going to kick anybody out.
Nobody gets kicked out of the Big 10.
Nobody gets kicked out of the Big 10. No, but I think that the name, image, and likeness is basically allowing the free market to decide what a person's value is. And isn't that the society we live in?
You talk free market.
Yes.
Free market's one thing, and capitalism is another. There are still regulatory arms, regulatory agencies. There are still rules in place. There are still guardrails around every industry. Mm-hmm, am I correct?
Yeah, there are.
And I know we're on uncharted territories here, but don't you agree that there needs to be uniform rules across the country if this name, image, and likeness is not going to become a league of the haves and have-nots?
No, I don't see how you can do it.
How do you figure?
How can you do that?
You have to.
No, you can't. You can't regulate that because look, if you regulate in the Big 10, or if you try to say the NCAA already is out of the question.
The NCAA can come out and say maximum dollars per team.
Supreme Court already ruled. They spoke. Kavanaugh, he had his beer.
And so then you got the car dealer.
He had that 12-pack, and he said, look here. What you guys are doing in the NCAA is damn illegal. In any other facet of this whole society, we call United States of America.
Look,
then now NCAA tucked their tail between their legs. They're done.
Listen, I think first of all, let me say this. I 100% support the players getting paid. It's about time.
Yeah.
All right, and all of them. All of them. And
you was getting paid, but that was from your dad.
Yeah, my dad was paying me. That's different. And plus, I don't think anybody wanted a 6'1", 296-pound offensive guard. That wasn't very appealing. But anyway, my point is, I had my daddy's credit card.
Yeah, daddy's credit card.
Those were to buy my friends.
BMW.
I was buying my friends.
Eddie Bauer. Eddie Bauer Explorer. This
guy,
he was living a charm life. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
My point is that you can't. It's not a level playing field. If the car dealer owner in Alabama, who might be Nick Saban, by the way, but can pay a player X amount of dollars when the car dealer in Michigan can, when each state has different levels of deep pockets, different levels of median income. If you're in one league, if you're in one conference, if you're in one league or you're in one universe, the rules have to be the same. Don't ask me how, because I don't know how. This thing's 2 weeks old.
Are there not millionaire, like guys who are very successful, billionaires that graduated from not so big schools that didn't go to Alabama? Are there people like that out there that didn't go to Alabama?
Yeah, there are. Sure.
So they're not going to step up because, like, let's just face it. I mean, as a society, we're addicted to football. NFL, college football is just kind of sets the tone for everything else in this country. I mean, look at the ratings. If you don't believe me, go look at the ratings for the top 20 shows, top 50 shows in America, and the NFL is all over that.
I'm not disputing that.
So what I'm saying, there's going to be an alumni somewhere in all those other places that you're saying have and have nots that steps up and says, you know what, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired too. I want a good player. So, hey, I know they down there with Nick Saban. They giving $1.3 million deals to the quarterback. We're gonna do 5 over here, and there's gonna be 10 over there.
College football's done.
It's gonna be complete.
There has to be uniform rules. I want free agency. I want you to pay the kids. But the student athletes.
For me, the problem is going to be, though, it's the casualties. There's going to be some casualties.
There's going to be major casualties.
Major.
And then you saw a group trying to form a players' union, which it's going to happen.
Yep.
Mark my words, that's going to happen. And at the end of the day, if this thing goes the way that I think it's going to go, it's going to become a league of have and have-nots.
Yeah.
And you're going to take out the joy of the Poland Weed Eater Independence Bowl that you and I had back in '95 when we went down to lovely Shreveport,
Louisiana.
Yeah, when we went down, it's going to take away that joy.
Down there. I mean, that's. And listen, man, like I don't think those bowl games go
Hold
away.
on,
That's not gonna
Memphis,
stop
the Liberty Bowl.
The Liberty Bowl.
The memories. I was grounded then.
You were grounded?
I was grounded, yeah. Blue curfew in Japan. I was grounded at the Liberty Bowl. But still.
That's where George called me from the field. I was still in high school. We want you to be a Spartan.
I got Merry Christmas, you know what, sucker? Grounded. That's what I got. Merry Christmas, you. And I mean, that's what I would get. I'd get MF'd. Go to your room.
I mean, these are things that still get talked about to this day.
Go to your room. You're not leaving your room. And when we were in Japan, we blew curfew. He said, if the flights weren't as expensive, I would ship your ass home right now.
Japan against Wisconsin?
Yeah, 93.
Oh, man. And you know who was on that team back then? In 93, Wisconsin?
Darryl Bevell.
And?
Hold on. Which team?
Mel Tucker.
Mel Tucker. That's right.
He was on that team.
That's right. He was. So you think this, putting guardrails, let's go to the portal for a second, which I think the transfer portal, and I know Coach Izzo hates this, and I know he hates N.I.L, but these are the times, this is where this is going, and this is where you got to be ready for it. But that portal has benefited Michigan State, has benefited Coach Tucker, who's taken tremendous advantage of that portal.
Yes.
So
it's here to stay. You got to embrace it, and that's exactly what he's done.
Is it good for college football, though? Let's remove Mel Tucker and Michigan State for a second. Is the portal good for college football?
I think that history will tell us, was it good? I do think that every player runs through this moment in time as a freshman when they first get to campus that they feel like, hey, man, did I make the right decision or not?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Did quitting ever cross your mind when you played?
Absolutely.
Me too.
Yeah, for sure.
I would have been in the portal in year 3. Had a Navel Paraiso. But I would have been
straight to Val.
I would have been
Valpo, baby.
Valpo or
the Greyhounds.
Yeah, or South Dakota State. They're actually pretty good.
Is that where they are? South Dakota State?
I don't know. I don't know what Valparaiso is.
Yeah.
But so, I would have quit. I mean, everybody at one time or another thought about quitting. Now it's just easier.
It's easier to move. See, quitting is a different thing. Like, because what stopped me from making that move, besides like my father saying, "Hey, come on home and bag groceries," was me calling other guys around the country that I knew that were at other universities that I thought were better or having a better time. And no, everybody felt the same way. Every player in America feels like quitting football. If they don't, they lie. If they told you they didn't, they're probably lying.
You're right, because I called around to guys that I knew too, and it crossed their mind too about quitting and getting out of ball. But I called my dad and said, "Dad, I'm done. I've had it. I want out of here." He told me, "Great, pack your bags. I got a rag for you, and there's a bunch of bottles for you to wipe down at the party store. Come on home."
You had the same talk I had?
I did.
Wow.
He told me, "You shut your mouth. You get back in there. You work hard." And it's funny because George would always say, "Work hard, keep your mouth shut, and good things would happen."
Yeah.
And, Dad, thank you. Best move I ever made.
My dad just hung the phone up and said, "Hey, it's not worth all that. Come on home and then get your job at the local Kroger down the street here. You can bag some groceries."
But
and I had to think about that all night.
Once my dad said that, I wasn't going back. There was no way.
No way.
But entering that portal, you think the portal it's a good thing for college football?
I think that every situation,
isn't it making it easier for kids to just
come up? I mean,
500. How many kids are in the portal right now?
Sometimes you're in a bad marriage.
Okay, I get it.
Sometimes that happens.
Where's the adversity? How do we fight through adversity and come through adversity?
I mean, if you play football, you fight through adversity. I don't think
when the going gets tough, we
up.
pack our bags now and get going, or do we pack our lunch pail and go to work? I mean,
that's the part I don't like. But if they're with the name, image, and likeness, they're looking at other opportunities for themselves to be on a bigger platform. I think that's what's going to happen. So, a kid might go to Cal, Berkeley, and then be the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, and now his sophomore year he's going to Alabama. Things like that are going to happen because now he's got as soon as he goes to Alabama, now he's got a $2 million deal. That kind of people will play it that way more so than.
So how are we ever going to catch Alabama?
Hey, it's got to be. It's the people who own the businesses that want to contract that individual for their name, image, and likeness. So it's the same across the board for everybody. So, hey,
I'm for it. I am for it, but I think you need to put guardrails around it. I think you need to put rules around it. I think allowing a one-time transfer is fine.
That's it.
Can you enter it more than once?
If you do the second time, you have a penalty now, 1 year.
So you saw what Mel Tucker did. Mel has replaced, I think he's turned over 40-some, 20.
Yeah,
20.
I think close to 40, like 34 to something like that. New players, when typically you're only getting about 20 to 25 new players through scholarships. But through the portal and attrition, he's been able to flip the roster.
And you've seen the kids that we're getting from Power 5 schools. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing the ones that are leaving are going to more MAC type, non-Power 5 schools.
5 conferences.
So you're seeing, regardless of what we know or don't know, you're seeing, in theory, a talent upgrade.
There you go.
And then you saw.
It takes talent to win football games.
Oh yeah, great players make coaches great. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, it's time.
What are we gonna do here?
It's time.
All right.
Joining us.
Let's do it.
To talk more about the state of the program at Michigan State University. And I'm going to say this, an absolute delight and treat to be around. He is one hell of a gentleman. We got Coach Mel Tucker in the house. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. Brian Stray, what's up? Y'all doing good?
We are fantastic. It's great to have you. We appreciate you joining us, Coach. Tell us, how's it going?
It's going well. I can't complain. I'm just living the dream over here in sunny East Lansing.
That's good to hear.
Recruiting like crazy.
Is that? Tell us about the state of the program, Coach, and what kind of off season that we've had here heading into fall ball.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm really pleased with the direction of the program where we are right now. The main event when I got here, February 12th, 2020, was to hire a great staff. We did that. Then it was all about shifting the culture. We've done that. We flipped the roster. We got a lot of new players. Had 9 mid-year guys that we had 25 initials. And so we were able to hit the ground running after the season. We had a great Spartan training program and our winter conditioning program. We had a great very productive spring practice where we were able to get better and develop some players. We had the rest of the guys come in and report in the summer in June. We had a great summer program, and now we're ready to start report to camp a week from tomorrow. And so the culture is set. You know, the infrastructure is there. Infrastructure precedes culture. And it's a really good feel in the building. When recruits come in here with their families, they can feel it. The energy, you know, authentic people here, great relationships. You know, we deal in the truth. You know, it's not a lot of French pastry. It's a meat and potato straight down the middle. It is what it is. We keep it real, and that's what people want. That's what they expect from us here in East Lansing, and that's what they're going to get.
Wow, Coach. I mean, so when you talk about all the players that you've been able to get through the portal, like what is the biggest thing that you look for with that Spartan Dog? Because we talk a lot about Spartan Dog in East Lansing, and you know what that is better than anybody. So what is it that you look for in your players, be it skill or the big guys?
Yeah, well, we're looking for guys with tremendous character, first and foremost. We're looking for guys who live football, not just like it or love it, but live it. And, you know, we're looking for guys that can rise above coaching. You know, Jim Tressel taught me that years ago. Like you just said, you know, good players make you a good coach, great players make you a great coach. We need guys that can rise above coaching, they can win the one-on-ones, they can go on the road and beat top players, top teams in the country, you know, and dominate their box and dominate their position. And so, you know, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for length, you know, size, athleticism, explosiveness. You know, football is a game for big people. You got to move people against their will or across the field, you know, and we want the guys that have a chip on their shoulder and have something to prove. They want to play a physical brand of football, like what our fans and our former players and our Spartan Dogs deserve here in East Lansing. Tough, physical, hard-nosed football, be able to run the ball, stop the run, you know, knock the heck out of people, you know, make people never want to play us again. And that's the type of program that we need to have here. That's what we're building. So in order to do that, you win with people. So we need the type of players that have that type of mentality, that want to go out there and play that type of football, play at the highest level, play on the east side of the division with some great teams, you know, win the Big Ten and get in the playoffs and win 2 games. Those are the types of guys we're looking for.
So, Coach, we know it's all in the trenches. As former offensive linemen, we're very familiar with our past history here. And our best years here, we've had a physical, dominant offensive and defensive line. When you look at 13, 14, 15, some of the great years, you obviously were dealt a very challenging hand coming in during COVID, having months before you got to even meet your players, no spring ball, no evaluation of your talent. It was a very, very unique circumstance, probably something that we'll never, ever see in our lifetime, at least let's hope. You've went into the portal, and by the looks of it, you've done a tremendous job and very active. You clearly know what you're looking for and what you want when you go into that portal, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it by the type of young men you're bringing in. We're seeing it by some of the pictures of how kids are looking 6 months later after being in the weight room. Talk to us a little bit about that process and just your beliefs of the portal and kind of, you know, coming from the SEC, what it takes to win in the trenches in the Big Ten.
Yeah, well, obviously to win in the trenches, you have to have you know, big, strong, physical guys that they got a little something about them that like to put their face in the fan and bang it around in there and move people. And you know, that's not for everyone, but in the trenches, you need those type of guys. They're built a little differently. They think a little differently, but we're looking for size and explosiveness, because we do need to be able to move people. You know, with the portal, we take a kind of an NFL approach. I spent 10 years in the National Football League as a coach, and in the league, you have like the pro side of it, and you have the pro scouts. They scout your team and the 31 other teams, and that's for free agency purposes. And then you have the college side, and they scout the guys in the college ranks and for the draft. And so we have our personnel department set up the same way. So we have a guy that sits at his computer and he has the portal open. He presses refresh every 30 minutes, and when people hit the portal, then we activate, and we have to identify them. We have to evaluate them, and then if they seem like they're going to be a good fit for us and what we're looking for, because we know what we need, then we actively recruit them, and it happens in a matter of hours. In the portal,
Wow.
portal it goes quickly. I mean, it's like light speed. It's so much different than recruiting the high school players when you might be recruiting a guy for 2 or 3 years. In the portal, sometimes it's a matter of 2 or 3 days. If that long. And so, you just have to make quick decisions, quick implementation, and quick execution. And if you see that you're going down the wrong path, then you got to own it and change course and adapt and adjust and keep moving forward. But you got to go. You got to be aggressive. This is not for the faint of heart. That's for sure.
Wow, that's incredible. The speed that you get to have somebody at the ready on the computer every 30 minutes. I mean, just to be able to get in the game.
What do you hit? I'll take him, and then he just automatically shows up in East Lansing? How does that work?
Well, I mean, there's a vetting process, and so it's all hands on deck. A lot of phone calls, a lot of background checks. Obviously that we have film. Film is readily available. We have, we can get film from all over the country, so we get a chance to look at the film. We pull out the high school film again. We pull out whatever we have, and we get as much information as we can on the guys, and we talk, and we see what we have to. We look for alignment. Why are you in the portal? What are you looking for? What are we looking for? And is there alignment there? And if it's a match and if it's a fit, then then we're aggressively going after these guys, and we're not in a vacuum. I mean, we're fighting for guys that just like in recruiting high school guys, everybody in the country is going after these same guys, and so we have to compete to get those guys, and so it's it's something that it's all hands on deck, and we use all the resources that we have, and we have a great coaching staff that's coached all over the country. And this is my 25th year in coaching, and so we've got a lot of connections, in the South, out West, East Coast. We know a lot of coaches. We know a lot of NFL people. We know a lot of people, and so we can connect the dots. Keep pulling the threads, and making sure that we know what we're getting ourselves into. And I've been very, very pleased with how we've been able to acquire the type of players that we need to move the needle here.
That's fascinating, Coach. I mean, when you talk about people forget this, but you were in the NFL 10 years?
Yes, sir. Yes,
10 years. So I mean, think about that. I mean, been in the SEC. NFL for 10
Georgia,
years.
LSU, Bama.
Yeah, and head coach out in Colorado, Pac-12. I mean, so recruiting out there, you've got that West Coast reach, and then you got guys on your staff from out there. But when you talk a lot about, Coach, the team is built in the weight room. And you have a situation right now when you have so many newcomers, new faces on the team. How do you get those guys acclimated into the culture of being, a Spartan dog?
Well, yeah, I do believe the team is built in the weight room. We have a great strength and conditioning staff. Coach Jason Novak is our head strength and conditioning coach, and the staff is outstanding. We have a sports science director that has a PhD, and we have a full-time dietitian for football only that handles the nutrition and all the assessments and the body comps, and so. We have a team of folks down there for performance, and that's where you get strong. That's where you get fast. That's you get more explosive. That's how we compete in the weight room. It's your mental and physical toughness down there, your resiliency, the teamwork, the chemistry, learning how to knowing how to strain together, the leadership, leaders start to step up. All that's built in the weight room because we're competing. There's a lot of athletes down there. They know that we're going to play the best players, and people, react and grow and develop with pain and pressure. You got pain and pressure, and that's in the weight room. When you think about what happens in the weight room and in these strength and conditioning programs, and when you're running and lifting, it's pain and pressure. You're competing every day, steel sharpening steel, and that's how your team is built, and that's the culture that we have here. Guys know that there is no choice. Choice is an illusion when it comes to nutrition, rest and recovery, and strength and conditioning. There is no choice. There's only one way, and so that's the culture. And when guys, we have newcomers, first term players in our program, they feel that, because they get it from their teammates, and it's just part of how we live. And they wouldn't really be here. They wouldn't even be in the building if that's not what they wanted, if that's not the culture that they wanted, because we tell them up front, we don't sugarcoat anything. We're not trying to trick anyone. This is what we're doing here. This is what's required. Okay? It takes what it takes to get to where we want to go. Here's the opportunity. Is this what you want? And the people in this building, the players in this building, that's what they want.
Coach, as you know, as we watch you on social media, and just your understanding of today's young man, what they want to see, the way they want to be recruited, using the tools in which you use, how well you use social media, and understanding how important that is to this generation of kid, and how the lack of attention span, for lack of a better term, that some of these young men have, and just social media is giving us all ADD. I mean, let's just be honest here.
That's a good one.
I got a 2-minute video on Twitter. I can't watch the next. Boom. I mean, somebody leaves me a voicemail. I'm like, what are you doing? Just text. What are you leaving me a voicemail for? So, would you, as we've watched you, tell us how recruiting has changed over the last 20 years.
Oh my goodness. I can remember when, as an assistant coach 20 years ago, we would go out in spring recruiting, and we were actually looking for players, going school to school to school with questionnaires and blank tapes, VHS tapes, hoping that we could get them to send us a tape back in the mail the next day, whatever. We were going looking for players school to school. Now we already know where the players are because of social media, and I mean, it's right on your phone. I mean, with Huddle, and the players are making their own highlight tapes. They're sending them to you. You can get anything from any camp, anything they've done in any camp they've been. We have everything. So it's not even about that. It's about quickly identifying and evaluating the guys that you need, that can help you win, and then at that point, once you offer them and you get in on them, then it's all about sales and marketing at that point for those guys, and that's where the social media comes in. We have a creative department with graphic artists and motion graphics and photographers. Things like that, and we're very, very active on social media. We got 4 people in our football space here just dedicated just for that. Presenting our brand, and building and helping the players on the team that we have right now build their brand. I've got two boys myself, 17 and 19, and so we know what's important to these young men in recruiting, and we have a lot to offer, here at Michigan State as well. We have a great university, we have a great product, we have great tradition, a lot of great players that have played here, represented in the NFL year in and year out, And so it's just about selling our program, and we use all the tools available to us to do that, whether it's, it's social media, or when people come here on official visits or unofficial visits. We have all that. I mean, it's all about access, delivery of the information. Like you said, Brian, how do you package it so it's digestible, so the players, so it's interesting to them, so you can capture their minds for that moment, and then keep them wanting to see more, so you don't lose them, so you can maintain their attention while you build a relationship, so it can snowball, and at some point, they want to say, hey, I want to come to Michigan State, and that's basically you winning a recruiting battle, and you're competing for guys, and competition is so much about comparison. They're comparing us to all of the other schools that are recruiting them. Social media, weight room, nutrition, housing, academic support, player engagement, civil engagement. What are we doing with paid internships? What are we doing for life after football? Name, image, and likeness. They're comparing our product and what we're presenting to them to the other schools that are recruiting them as well. So we have to use all of our tools and all of our resources that we have in order to get the best players.
I mean, Coach, you talk about that, the recruiting process and what's going on today in recruiting, and I'm just now entering that with my son. I mean, coming back from 1994 to today, it's completely different. And looking at like the way these schools are operating, I mean, it's literally an arms race, it seems like, in college football for who can have the biggest and best. I mean, they're tearing down $80 million facilities to build $100 million. Where does it stop? But like, that is what you're talking about, right? When you're talking about, using and leveraging all of our resources in order to attract the kids, because if you don't do it, then what are you as far as the kids when you lose them, as you said, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna fall behind. I mean, you have to compete. You have to stay ahead of the curve. You have to be innovative. You have to be able to adapt and adjust. You have to be creative. And continue always to try to find the winning edge, the competitive edge, the advantage, in recruiting, and that's something, that's a daily process. You have to recruit every single day, and you have to always be able to adapt, adjust. You have to be able to grow, because it is an arms race with facilities. The new arms race right now is what we're doing in name, image, and likeness, and branding, and things like that. That's another arms race. You got facilities, you got you have the infrastructure arm race. Infrastructure again precedes culture, and so you have to have certain things in place in order to have the type of program and the type of culture that is conducive to producing championship football teams year in and year out, and you gotta love it. I mean, it's coaching in the Power 5 is not a job; it is a lifestyle. That's what it is. This is what we do. It's not something that I leave here at the office and I go home and I leave it here. No, it goes with me, right? It goes with me home. It's every day, all day, everywhere, 24/7. That's what recruiting is. That's what this program is all about. I mean, we're here to serve. We're here to serve the university community, all of our alumni, all of our former players. We're here to give back to the game of football. We're here to be, we have a platform and we want people to look at us and say, hey, that's how you do that. That's how that should be done. I want my son to go to Michigan State. I want my son to go to school in East Lansing. I want my son to be with those people there, because they're doing it right. They care about my son. They see my son as an individual. And I always tell the players, football is what you do. It's not who you are. So we're going to develop the whole 360-degree student athlete and set them up for life after football. And we're going to take football as far as we can take it. But it is quite a challenge. It's not for everyone. But I tell you what, everyone in this building is up for the challenge.
I tell you what, Coach, that 24/7 thing, that's not my style. That's why I turned down the job. So congratulations on you taking that. But you're right.
Man,
That 24/7 arms race, and you mentioned name, image, and likeness earlier. Now that becomes part of the equation, and that's going to become a big part of the equation. What are we doing at Michigan State to prepare these young men and women and student athletes for this next phase of who knows what we're about to encounter?
I'll tell you what, that's a great question, and in the next 6 to 12 months are going to tell us a lot. We're going to learn a lot about this because we don't necessarily know where this is going, but we were prepared for this, day one. I mean, one of my first hires was Darian Harris, and he's a director.
He's outstanding.
He's outstanding. He's the
Outstanding.
director of player engagement. He's East Coast. He went to DeMatha. He was a
Smart
great
dude,
defensive
man.
player here.
Yeah.
A very smart guy. He was a captain, Rose Bowl team. And we from day one we've had him in a position. He deals with everything off the field, and building, brand building, financial literacy, entrepreneurship programs. We have curriculum inside of our football program for our players. I mean, the first week that they get here in January or June, whenever they enroll, we start with our overtime program. It's all about these things that are outside of the game of football, whether the leadership piece, the academic piece, the time management piece, all these things. And so we were already talking about, how do you build your brand? What is your brand? How are you going to, what is life after football going to look like for you? How do you use your experience here in Michigan State and your football platform? How do you use that to launch your career after football? And how do you garner the resources, and how do you network and things like that? And so when name, image, and likeness actually became a reality, it was just allowed us to just recruit more resources to that effort and continue on the things that we were already doing. We partnered with N.I.L for the education piece for the players. We were already partnering with Influencer so the players could get their images, and so they could do analytics with their social media and see what their values are and things like that. And so with the education piece, with the contracts and money, and how do you due diligence and things like that. We use those people to help educate our players, and then with the Influencer and with the images and the videos and the social media and the analytics, combined with the things that we do and we were already doing, we have a very comprehensive program for our student athletes, and we put them in a position to make great decisions and capitalize on the name, image, and likeness. And I'm all for it. I think it's a great thing. Who knows where it's going to go? We're just putting our guys in a position so that they can do it the right way. It's protective education. We've got to make sure these guys are making the right decisions and aligning themselves with the right types of people. They can really help them and do things the right way. And I'll tell you what, it's going well so far. And people want, they say, well, is it going to be a distraction, or what if you get this player that's making this amount of money, and this guy's not, and his teammates not making as much? Well, hey, welcome to the National Football League. That's the way it is there.
That's right.
And you can build a team in the National Football League as well, and you can win championships there. You just, it takes a very strong culture, and it takes great leadership from the coaching staff on the side of the players.
Right. I mean, you just made a comment about, it's welcome to the NFL. That's exactly what it is. In the NFL, you've got quarterbacks that take salary cuts, right, in order to get more players, better players on the team, so that they can try to win a Super Bowl ring. will it get to that level? Quarterbacks doing that, like to get more players to come to his university. I mean, the sky, who knows where this thing can go, man.
Give up my scholarship because I got a big endorsement so we can get another kid. I mean, this
don't count me towards the 85, Coach.
Well, Coach, I will say this. Right?
Yeah.
I will say this, Coach, and you have done your recruiting class so far. I think it's hovering around 25. You just signed a kid from my high school, my alma mater, the Forts and Tractors, Antonio Gates' son. And we're watching everything that you're doing, and all the former players are extremely excited. It's one thing that you've done, I think, very well is that you've brought us all in and made us part of the family, and made it a point that everybody is welcome. And you're seeing the excitement amongst former players, and buying into your process, buying into your culture, buying into your belief system, and we're very fortunate to have you, Coach. And I got one last question, though. I see you smiling over there. If you're going to have any O-linemen come in to talk about your linemen, about after football and nutrition, would you bring me in or Jason in to talk to them?
You hear that? Yeah, what about business, man?
Who do you want your offensive linemen if they're not going to the league? Who do you want your linemen to look like, Coach? Me or Jason after football?
Well, you can't look like a ballerina.
This what we'll do. We'll bring you both in. I'll introduce you to the team, and I'll see you to 2 separate rooms. I'll say, you guys go to where you want to go and listen to who you want to listen to. We'll let those guys choose.
There you go. Yeah, de facto segregation.
Coach,
that's awesome.
It's a pleasure having you, Coach. Thank you, Coach Mel Tucker. Appreciate you coming on
Thanks,
today.
Coach.
We're excited to see you. We'll see you Friday. And thank you very much. We wish you nothing but the best this fall. And thank you for coming. And nice talking to you. Good luck this season. Go Green.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and we'll see you soon. Go White.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
Take
Mel
care,
Tucker. We got Mel Tucker there. But I tell you what, he is a treat,
Absolute treat, isn't he?
Is.
Getting you a good look at how he attacks that portal.
Oh, he knows. Listen, I'm going to tell you,
program.
He knows. In my prior life, I was a trustee at MSU where we hired Mel, and I was part of that search. And I will say this, nobody had a plan like he did. Nobody. From recruiting to philosophy to culture, he knew our two deep. He knew the strengths and weaknesses. He had a whole recruiting plan laid out, geography, high school, states. I'm telling you, Spartan fans, we got the guy. We got the guy. So I guess that'll wrap it up here. Pretty close to wrapping it up, huh? We are? It's been a pleasure. First show.
Absolutely.
No commercials.
Good job, man.
I'm sure we'll be littered with sponsors after. And by the time we get done here with our millions of viewers, we'll have about 18 minutes of content. Right?
But
with
don't
all
worry.
All the commercial.
Brick by brick, baby. That's all how we built this thing. Brick by brick.
Brick by brick. Everybody, thank you for joining us. I am Brian Mosallam. You are watching Inside the Locker Room with my co-host.
Have a good night. God bless. And
Jason
go green.
Strayhorn. Go White. Take care.